Hi, welcome back to Stuff We Can Do in Excel. I'm Richard. In this video, we're going to take a look at how to build a recovery tool for intentional circular references. Now, what do I mean by that? Most of us have experienced circular references, and they usually occur when we've got an error in a formula. Maybe a range was too big, or just the formula was just incorrect in some way. And I showed you in an earlier video how we could go back and fix those kind of circular references, the ones that have actual errors in the formulas. But sometimes, particularly in business, we've got a formula that is intentionally circular in nature, and we need to fix that so it doesn't cause our spreadsheet a problem. So let's go look at what I'm talking about. So I'm going to open up this file, and it's going to tell me that there is a circular reference in this file, and it's going to suggest it could be a problem. So to read this again, and we've read this before, there are one or more circular references where a formula refers to its own cell either directly or indirectly. This might cause the formulas, to calculate incorrectly. Try removing or changing these references or moving the formulas to different cells. Okay, I've read the message. Now let's go see where it is. Over here, we can see the problem. We can see it's over here in my income statement. And there's some issues here. So first of all, the problem is actually in this cell right here. If I go up and if I do my search as I did in the previous video, and I go to formulas, and I go over to error checking, and I go to circular references. Remember, that's bold, so there is a circular reference. I'm going to click on cell C15 because I know that's where it is. And there it is. And when I look at this thing, I look at the formula, it's C22 times B24. Well, C22 is net income. C24 is, or B24 is the bonus rate. So I'm multiplying the bonus rate times net income to get bonus expense, which is then used to compute net income. Well, that's a circular reference by definition. But there's not a problem. I've done this intentionally. I want my manager's bonus to be based on whatever net income is after taking out the bonus. So I want that formula to stay, and I need to fix it. So how do I fix this so that this circular reference doesn't keep showing up? So I'm going to go over here up to File. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to go up here to this really neat tool called Watch Window. Now, Watch Window is going to be a way we can look at some other numbers that'll stay on top of our screen even while we're looking. So if I go to Balance Sheet, I look at this balance sheet, I see I've got a balance of $75,540,000. I've got total liabilities and equity of $75,540,000. My balance sheet balances. And I want to make sure that that's going to stay the same, and that when I make these other changes, nothing there is going to change. So I'm going to click on Watch Window, and it's going to give me this option. I'm going to add watch. I'm going to watch total assets, and it's going to add that to my watch window. I also want to add total liabilities and owner's equity, so I'm going to go down and add that number and add. And now I've got two items in my watch window. I've got balance sheet C17 and balance sheet C29. That's total assets and total liabilities plus owner's equity. And I want to watch to make sure that number doesn't change. How often do we change something in one spreadsheet that we click back to the other tab to see if it changed, right? This way we don't have to do that. These numbers will stay on the screen, so I don't have to keep going back and forth between tabs. It's a really nice little helpful work tool. So I'm just going to move it over here to the side a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to also now go up and do something else. Under File, if we go down to Options, and then we go to Formulas, we're going to see that one of the options over here is Enable Iterative Calculation. Let me get this thing out of the way. Enable Iterative Calculation. Now that's not currently clicked. When I click that, it's actually going to take that, it's going to, what it does, it actually does iterations and approximates what it thinks I'm trying to do. And it will do that computation, but it won't show the circular reference anymore. So I'm going to click Enable Iterative Calculation. I go down here and click OK. You notice I'm still looking at $75,540,000 for both those totals. If I go back to the income statement now, I'm not showing that. And in fact, if I go up here to Formulas and I go to Error Checking, it's not going to show me a circular reference. I know it's still there. I haven't changed the formula, but now the spreadsheet doesn't recognize it as a problem because I've decided to turn it into an iterative calculation. So that's really useful to me and can be very helpful. So I'm going to type that. I can change that. So I'm going to turn this off from this magnifier. I can change that 5%. So let's see, 5%, it's going to change that. And I want you to notice my balances over here in the watch window didn't change. Maybe I want to do only 3% bonus to my boss. Okay, well those still didn't change, but this changed. Maybe I want to do a 7% bonus. So I can do all these bonuses, but if I'm using the numbers on my keyboard instead of the numbers on my number pad, so I don't know, well, I'm not even going to try to show you, but if let's say instead of, I'm trying to hit 3 and I'm not looking and I hit accidentally in that cell, I hit a W. I hit enter, I want to see what happens. I'm going to get this value thing, right? It doesn't know how to compute that because that's now a letter instead of a number. Well, I'll just get out of that. I'll just reverse it. It doesn't change it. It's still got that value. I can't fix this. I can type in 10. It's not going to fix it. This is permanently damaged, but not permanently. I'm going to show you a really cool trick on how to fix this. So another tool we're going to add in and use now is something called the developer, and you'll see it up on my top line, developer tool, right? Now, you may not have the developer tool showing, but I'm going to show you where it is. So if you go to File and go back down to Options at the bottom, then we're going to go up over here to Customize Ribbon. And if you're like me, when I looked at this the first time, developer was not checked. I want you to check developer. And when you do that, it's going to add the developer item to your top tab. So we'll hit OK, and there's my developer. When I click on this, it's going to give me some options. So follow these steps, and you're going to see what happens. It's really, really neat. So we click on developer. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to click over here on insert. We're going to insert a tool. It's a checkbox. And I can put this checkbox pretty much anywhere. I'm just going to put it right here. I'm going to move it a little bit, line it up, just because I like things sort of, I'm kind of anal that way. So we'll move this, we're going to extend that. I'm going to call this recovery tool. Oops. Now, I've got my recovery tool. I'm now going to right click on it, and it's going to bring up another window. And I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I'm going to click Format Control, and I want to link this to another cell. Now I'm going somewhere with this, so watch. I'm going to link this to a cell, and I'm just going to link it up here to H3. Okay? We'll just link it right here to H3, and we'll hit OK. So it's now in there's H3, and hit OK. Now, I'm going to get out of this. Well, we're going to go up here, we're going to click on this and get out of that. Now, when I click on, I want you to see what happens when I'm going to make cell G, or this really narrow so you can see everything. So when I click on my recovery tool, actually I'm going to get out of this magnifier. It says true. If I turn it off, it says false. Click it on, it says true. Click it off, it says false. Well, that's really cool, right? Now I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to link this tool to my cell where I know I've got my circular reference, which is down here in the bonus expense. So you see up here, you can see my formula right now is net income, C22, times the bonus rate, which is B24. I'm going to change that formula. I'm going to say if H3 equals true, then I'm going to put a 1 in that category. Otherwise, I'm going to do the formula. And so we'll go over here, we'll close that formula, okay, and hit enter. So now what's happened, I've got this. Now watch what happens. I'm going to turn this off. Now when I click on the recovery tool and turn it on, this number is going to turn to 1, and it's going to allow these computations to happen. So watch this. I'm going to turn it on, and it changes to 1. Now I'm going to turn it off. It still stays. Now my 10% is working again. I can put in 5%, I can put in 3%, I can put in 2%. So if you've got an intentional circular reference, and you don't want that, and you don't want to risk damaging your spreadsheet by hitting a key accidentally and damaging it, you can put in this recovery tool. And this recovery tool will allow you to go back to an earlier version of this where everything did work. Now, this is only a problem if you've got that iterative computation enabled. If you don't have it enabled, it's not a problem. But if it is enabled, which in this case we would want it to be, then you're going to need to add this recovery tool in order to make sure that if you hit an errant key, you can correct your problem. It's a really cool solution to a problem many of us might see on a daily basis. Hopefully this was helpful. If you liked the video, click the like button below, and we'd love to have you subscribe to the channel. We'll see you real soon.